area. Got a little bigger. When we talk about area, boys and girls and kids of all ages, what in the world are we talking about? Area, what is it good for? What do we use it for? Who knows? Does it really matter? Does Donald Trump tweet about area? Probably not. When you talk about area, area is a unit of measurement, children, and it is using the units of measurement that we call square units. It is what we use when somebody asks you how big your house is. If you didn't use area, how would you tell somebody how big your house really was? They say it's got 10 rooms in it? I don't know. What if they were little bathroom-sized rooms and just big enough for you to walk in and turn around? But usually when we talk about houses, we say that they are what? So many square feet. And that's why it's a square foot means you're talking about something that is 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. A square foot. 1 foot by 1 foot. A square foot. If you were talking about something smaller, let's say how big your piece of paper is, you probably maybe would talk about how many square inches it is. 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch. If you're talking about how big the state of Illinois is, the area of it, you'd probably measure it in square miles. And we probably don't have any idea about how big is a square mile. Nobody? You would have to walk all the way down to, that next road it's got like the little gas station car place there. That's another mile. And then you'd have to go a mile that direction, which is a manual road, and then come back and blah, blah, blah. A square mile is huge when you think about it. Okay? How do you find the area of something? Well, here. Let's do this here. Let's say we've got a rectangle. And it is 4 inches by, what do you suppose this is? 8 inches. One way you could do it is you could cut it into little teeny tiny squares, which would look like this. If it's 4 inches, that means it's 4 inches like this. If it's 8 inches, that would mean it's 8 inches like this. So it would look like this. So that's a straight line. That one's not so straight. That one's not so straight. You could cut it into your little 1 inch squares and count all of them. It might take us a while. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. This thing is 32 inches squared. Or you could use the simple little formula and do what, Caleb?
Length times width.
Yeah, the area of a rectangle. Area of a rectangle is equal to its length times its width. And it is super incredibly and unbelievably important that you label your areas as such. The reason why these are square inches is because of this. This is here, you will learn something new and exciting today, or at least catch on something that you've been doing forever. The length of my rectangle is what?
8 inches.
Length is
8 inches.
8 inches. The width is
4 inches.
4 inches. Well, guess what 8 times 4 is? 32, but don't forget you've got this times this. What is inch times inch?
Square.
Inches squared. 32 inches squared, or 32 square inches. That's why you must put that little 2 up there, because that tells somebody 32 inches is this. 32 square inches is this. It's a unit of measurement. Now, here's something that you can confuse and amaze your friends with, and your parents may not even catch this. If I asked you, and I said to you, if you have a square foot, 1 square foot, how many square inches is that? Oh, it doesn't get any easier than this. How many square inches would a square foot be? Oh, it's a tough one. Connor. 12 is not right. Chase?
4.
4. I'm not sure where, I understand where 12 comes from, I'm not sure where 4 would come from. Now check this out. I don't know why this is hard for us to understand, but take a look. I am going to draw a square foot. I'm going to draw another one. I'll try to make it realistic. Does that look like it's about a foot? Why not? That looks like that's about a foot, yeah? That looks like that's about a foot. If it's 1 foot by 1 foot, how long is a foot? How many inches? So in reality, this little shape is 12 inches by 12 inches, is it not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. How many square inches would I get out of that if I were to draw all the little teeny tiny squares? Aaron says? Right. There are actually 144 square inches in 1 square foot. And the reason for that is you've got, when you do squares, you're doing, not only are you making this 12 times bigger, but you're making this 12. You are making it 12 times bigger 2 different ways, which makes it 144 times bigger. Now, how about this? What if I asked you how big my room is? I already asked you this last year. How many square feet would you say this room is? Square, it's hard for us to get. We don't have any concept really of area a lot of times. How about this? Wait, Madison, stop. Before you get to that. If I asked you how many of my classrooms would fit in your house, how many do you think that would be? Lauren, I'm going to ask you because I think I might be able to pop your mom and get how big your house is. How many of my classrooms do you think would fit in your house?
Including the basement?
Is your basement finished?
No.
No, let's just go livable space. You got an upstairs and a downstairs, right?
No.
So is it one level?
It's 1 level, but it's like long.
Okay, I'm good. I'm down with that.
3? No, it's a lot bigger than that.
How many people have been in Lauren's house? All right, help her out. Tell her what you think. Madison thinks
Maybe like 5 or 6.
6 of my classrooms in Lauren's house. Somebody guess that? How many? Somebody say less than that? Fewer than that?
I said either 5 or 6.
Who else has a genuine estimated guess? Is that what you agreeing to that? Most of you agreeing that you think Siddler's close? Lauren?
It's either like 6
No.
or 6.
It's
It's
no.
either
It's 8,
5 and 6.
Yeah.
It's either 5 and 6.
5 and a half. Yeah, 5 and a half. 5 and a half.
He never said how many holes.
I said my classroom. What else would it be? Wait. Hold on. Let's see if Miss Lauren gets back with me. Here we go.
My house is really small.
Oh, Mrs. Ulrich, here we go. Mrs. Ulrich.
Well, yes, you can
Poor man.
Because they're So then
We'll wait for the response and move on.
I believe my house is 5.
We'll see.
Now,
I don't wanna spoil the fun of all this.
Why?
I should check.
Because I don't wanna like give them a clue as to whether you're right, wrong, or otherwise.
I have an estimate of how big your room is.
Write down this question. We'll talk when Mr. Ulrich gets to this here. Here's what you must see here, right out of the book. It says the area of a square is 100 square inches. How long is each side? Question mark. If this question or one similar to it comes up in your book, what do you suppose you are going to have to do, Caleb? Exactly. You would draw, and you have to go based on your knowledge of what a square is. What do you know about squares? All the sides are equal. And you know, how do you find the area of a square? Well, a square is also length times width, but with squares, because they're special, we don't call them lengths and widths, we just call them sides because they're both the same. You know that when you multiply side times side, you get 100. There's only one number that when you multiply it by itself, you get 100. How long would the side of the square have to be? What number times itself would give you 100? Lauren?
10.
Yeah, each side has to be 10. By the way, in math we call that a square root, because 10 times 10 gives you that. If I asked you what the perimeter of that square is, what is the perimeter of that square? You know each side is 10, then the perimeter would have to be, yes, 40 inches, because you add them all together. Will perimeter always be less than area?
Yes. Yes. No. Yes. No.
You say yeah, no, prove to me a time when it wouldn't be.
Ooh, like.
Which would mean all you have to do is think of some other squares. How about this, Madison Sidler? What if your square is a 1 foot square? What is its area? No, I'm not talking inches, give it to me in feet. What's, oh, 2,000 square feet. Well, children, and this is a good, let this be a fine lesson to you. Lauren's house is 2,000 square feet. Mr. Hahn's classroom is,
Let me guess.
30 square feet.
900.
30 square feet.
my classroom is basically 30 feet by 30 feet, which is 900
Yes, I got it right.
feet square.
Yeah, because you memorized it.
How many of
No.
my classrooms would you get in Lauren's house? Just a
2.
little over 2.
See, I said that. I said 3.
Now, where's the deceptiveness in all that? Because there's no walls in my room. You can't split it into, I mean, a good sized bedroom, I mean, it's probably 12, maybe 12 by 15. Which, I mean, this is about 12 feet from here to here, and 15 feet is about to Chase or a little past
My
Chase.
bedroom is
It's
about-
just, when there's nothing in it, you don't get, the whole size thing kind of gets lost in the shuffle there. My classroom, you put 2 of my classrooms together and you can have, that's a decent size one level of a house. I mean, you have a pretty good size one level house. Put another level on it, it makes it a big house, and somebody would live in beach
It
houses, but,
doesn't have a level on it.
huh?
It It doesn't have a level.
That's why I said
I
the
know,
main
that's what
level.
I said. Liv?
I can prove that, the perimeter can sometimes be.
Oh, well, I was just right there. Why is that, Liv?
Because when you do 4 on each side, it would be equal to the area.
Oh, well, Libby says this, look, if you had something that was 4 inches by 4 inches, its area would be 16 inches squared. What would be its perimeter? It would also be 16 inches. Right, 4 plus 4 plus 4, 16 as is 4 times 4. I was gonna do this one, what's the area of this? 1, what's its perimeter? 4. 1 plus 1. So no, area does not have to be bigger than perimeter, it can go one way or to other. And that's enough fun stuff for today.
So fun.
What about